You know, my faith in humanity is dwindling. But every once in a while, you get a good story that shows up in your feeds, and you're like, "That's pretty awesome." But you also see shit like there was a story that showed up in my feed about a person that demands $15 an hour to work at a grocery store. She thinks she's entitled to this money. This is the type of person that will argue with somebody and tell them that you can't do it this way. How dare you? For example, the one that I remember just recently, there was a lady who harassed one of the customers because they were in the self-checkout lane. And if you're like me, you find the self-checkout lane to be annoying, to say the least. Because here I am doing the job that somebody else has been hired to do. If you wanted $15 an hour, why don't you do the goddamn job and do it quickly and efficiently? And get out of my way. But no. They pass the savings on to you, remember? Now you are doing the job they hired somebody else to do, while that person, who's supposed to be making $15 an hour, stands there, twiddling their thumbs and toes, waiting for somebody to need an override on the register. So they walk over and scan their badge and do their thing and, I don't know, adjust a price, remove something that was accidentally added. You know, something a normal checker would do. And, well, in this particular story, the lady goes up to yell at somebody, saying, "You shouldn't use so many bags." And she's like, "Well, I'm bagging my own shit. If you don't like the way I'm doing it, why don't you do it?" So, already confrontational, of course. And she's yelling at her for using double bags, basically. And she's like, "Why don't you just put this in two bags instead?" And she stops and thinks for a second. It's like, really? Are you this stupid and you want $15 an hour? Okay, so I have a whole bunch of things in one bag, and I double bag it just in case that bag, which is plastic, breaks. And here you are telling me to take a few things out of one bag that is double bagged and put it into another bag so that they will still have two bags. The lady argues, and she's like, "No, you wouldn't use more bags, or the same amount of bags, because you'd stop double bagging." What she's running in her head is she puts a whole bunch of shit in the bag, and she double bags both of them, so there'd be four instead of two. So she's multiplying it because she's stupid. She just asked somebody to remove things out so you don't need to double bag and put it into another bag. Also, you wouldn't need a double bag, so you'd still be using two. Went right over her head. She argued for, probably a minute. And then went back and stood over there playing freaking Candy Crush or some shit on her phone. And I thought to myself, I could see that happening with an entitled little asshole who thinks they're owed a living wage, as they call it. You can live on $7 an hour. If you're smart about it. You won't be able to afford phone. You won't be able to afford a car. You won't be able to afford a lot of different things to get around and do whatever. But you can manage. I've done it. Might be a little bit more difficult in this day and age, but you could still pull it off. You'd have to find a trade skill to make more money, which I did. But I mean, for those that think they should, that's the job they get and they should work it and just make that, and you deserve $15 an hour for being a checker. What skills do you bring to the table? Because I am doing your job at the end in the register. But no, faith in humanity sometimes gets restored for me. There was a story that started Yesterday or the day before, the notorious big jackass racist Tariq Nasheed tried to blast a kid for being racist because he had a mental breakdown. And this mental breakdown was pretty significant. I've seen it happen before. Usually with people with like schizophrenia or some other mental disorder where they have they're not all gone to where they start hearing and seeing things. They don't have auditory or visual delusions, but they're close enough that they cannot necessarily control situations. Like their mental and emotional state is just so erratic that um, the flavored microaggressions will actually set them off, and they'll lose their shit. Well, Mister the Quartering, Jeremy, was like, "Ah, hell no!" Started up a GoFundMe. At my last look on this GoFundMe, it's well over 60K at this point. And I was like, holy shit, that's the right thing to do. All the comments are great. All the dogpiling on Tariq Nasheed for being a giant asshole are great. The guy behind the camera, by the way, you're a douchebag. You're a piece of shit, and everybody agrees, which is nice. Um, Too bad it was 3 o'clock in the morning, because if it was somebody else, they were berating somebody. They might have had a different outcome. Let's just put it that way. But it's stories like these that you never see anymore. You don't see them. They're not rage bait. They're not crazed inducing. So, anyways, I thought I'd just share. You guys should check it out. It's over on the Quartering site. It's a really good story. So, I'll see you next time.